Hello and welcome to this video tutorial on our SK Conversions baseline campervan conversion. This is just a brief overview of how to use most of the items of equipment that is featured in the vehicle. You'll find separate videos on how to use the double swivel seat, how to use the rib bed, and how to use the Skyline pop top roof. So in this video we're going to look at the basic operation of the fridge, the hob sink unit, and any lighting that's found around the van. So we'll start with lighting. The most obvious one to start with is the two spotlights that are found just inside the near side of the van. These are controlled by a switch on the B-pillar. A little red indicator light there tells you that the light is on, not that you will be unaware of it once those light up. The other most obvious light is the flyover light. So that's this strip light running down underneath the overhead cupboards. This light has a touch sensitive switch on it and is dimmable. So by tapping it once, briefly turns the light on and off. In order to dim it, push down and hold. Wherever you release your finger at the point at which the light is dimmed, that will be its new set point. So every time you turn the light on and off, it will go back to its last known set point, and you can dim it right down to basically a night light. The last standard installation anyway of lighting within our baseline conversions is the roof reading light, which is this flexible device up here. So there's a small, relatively touch sensitive button offering two stages of light, bright and brighter. The light unit itself also has onboard USB sockets. There's one each side of that main base station. Try and ensure that that's switched off when you come to closing the roof down. LEDs do get hot, although not hot enough really to melt anything, but you don't want to run any sort of risks where possible. So in terms of power within the van, we have a 12 volt USB socket in the wall here. We have a 13 amp power socket underneath it, and an additional 13 amp power socket down on the B pillar. Now, important to remember, those two sockets, the two 13 amp sockets, will not activate unless you are plugged into the mains on a campsite hookup or at home via your hookup lead, which is in the engine bay. The 12 volt USB socket and the 12 volt power socket on the near side of the van are always live. So they run from the leisure battery and will be live whenever you need them, as is all the lighting. All the 12 volt LED lighting is on demand whenever you need it. The battery itself is mounted under the driver's seat. Also under there are the charging devices. So with this particular van, it's got all of them. So there's the CTEK B2B charging system, which is also a solar panel control unit. This vehicle has a solar panel. There's also under there a smart trickle charger for when you are plugged into the mains. That will only activate when you are plugged into a hookup, and it will deactivate the moment you unplug. Beyond that, for the 12 volt system, we have the 12 volt fridge, obviously. So generally speaking, you'll see this model of fridge. Sometimes you might see an alternative. Same principle, same size fridges, all run on 12 volt. There's no need to change over power sources, etc. with these. So they're 12 volt only. In this instance, that rotating dial up there, when it's turned to 0, the fridge is off. Whilst every time you open the door, the light will shine. It's not actually chilling. And then you have various settings from 1 to 7 beyond that. Whilst you're driving, you can obviously have that wound right round to number 7 to get the fridge as cold as you would like, but it's advisable once you are on your camping plot, to dial that back to a setting that will help you maintain the right temperature for the goods you have stored in it. If you try and run the fridge full tilt all the time, you will flatten the battery probably just over a day. If it's managed correctly, on a vehicle without a solar panel, you should see 2.5 to 3 days worth of fridge use without having to recharge the battery via the engine or any other means. This particular vehicle has a diesel heater fitted, so we have the addition of the diesel heater control panel up there. Again, it's run from the leisure battery, so 12 volt only. You can use these whilst you're driving. Not all of our vehicles will have these fitted. Depends whether or not you've chosen that as an option when the vehicle is built. It can be added as an option if you don't currently have one. The last part of the conversion is obviously the sink and hob unit. So the hob unit is gas fired. In order to do that, you have to rotate this dial round to the largest flame symbol, lining up with that dimple in the metalwork, and push down. Hold it down, and at the same time push this igniter. You see up there a spark. Once the flame is caught, you need to keep this dial held down for a moment or two, so that the heating element can warm up, at which point it will just carry on once you let go of it. Then we have the sink unit. So the water pump is located within the water bottle. Generally speaking, they're mounted underneath our rock and roll beds. Depending on what rock and roll bed system you've got, you might find it in the rear of your wardrobe unit. The tap is its own switch, so there's no additional isolating switches anywhere else. You literally lift that up and you'll hear the tap start spinning away, the pump start spinning away, and assuming there was water in it, you'll see water come trickling out. Excuse the dirt. No, we haven't cleaned that. Plug drains straight to outside. Some campsites might require you to catch that runoff, others don't. So beyond that, the rest of the function of the units, it's all storage. So we have a small drawer, cutlery drawer type thing above the fridge, drop down storage in the top and middle rows, and then the bottom is a large storage drawer. Underneath the bed we've got 2 doors that access the bed space. You can also access the bed space by lifting the base of the seat over as if you were deploying it ready to go to bed. Covered in the other video about operating the rib bed. That'll allow you to access that storage space from the top down, and that is how you would get into getting hold of the water bottle to refill it. The thing you can see here is the table. This is not normally stored here, it's stored on the back door of the vehicle. It's only here for convenience while I demonstrate. So the table has hooks on it, and they hook onto this chrome rail on the face of your units. So we hook that on. I'm going to try with my spare hand to deploy the table leg. There's just a push button on there that helps engage and disengage the table leg. And you can have that table mounted anywhere along that rail. There are some securing clips just under there that will help prevent the table popping off the rail. But you'll need to disengage those in order to take the table off. The flyover at the top there, storage cupboards, and then obviously the wardrobe area is storage cupboards as well. Underneath the lift up lid of the worktop, again, it's another large storage area. There's a false panel in that shelf. Under there is where the gas bottle lives, the gas regulator, etc. So you'd need to turn that on and off each time you come to using it. And that's about it. The only other additions there could be within here would be things like gas grills, televisions, 4G Wi-Fi, hot water systems, showers, etc. are all possible options for our conversions. But for now, that covers our what we would find in our standard conversion, with the exception of that diesel heater. Thanks very much for watching.